Hello, Geminis. Welcome to Souls Intersect. This is your New Year 2017 Intuitive Tarot reading. So, this is a general reading that is meant to take into account the energies that will be with you throughout the year. And it's divided into the 4 quarters of the year, with one central card that will be an overarching theme or an underlying theme that I'll be tying into the reading. The first quarter is at the top and represented by those 2 cards, and then the second quarter to the right, and so on. So it goes clockwise. If you're watching this and it's still December, feel free to check out my winter solstice promotions and also your December reading. All right, so I'm going to start with the center card. It is the 10 of Pentacles. And in general, with this card and also some of the others that I'm seeing throughout the reading, I'm sensing a lot of balance, a lot of culmination, a lot of fulfillment on some levels, and I'm even seeing that triumph and victory card as a general theme. I feel like the center card for your reading, Gemini, is really pulling together a lot of the different energies from the different quarters. So one thing that I'm sensing is that there may be for some of you one main accomplishment that is something that really will make you feel fulfilled and on a stable level. So it could be financial, it could be something like an inheritance, it could just be things coming into balance with family life. But whatever it is, it feels like a general theme for the year is feeling more grounded on your own 2 feet, more stable, and I just feel this really strong sense of balance. So that could mean a lot of different things for different Geminis. The first quarter is represented by the 4 of Wands and the 2 of Pentacles. I do sense that in the beginning of the year, there will be some decisions for you to make, Geminis, and it's interesting how it ties to the 10 of Pentacles, because I feel like there's a decision that's going to be made that will help lead to this stabilizing and balancing influence to come into play. And it does feel for a lot of you like it's represented by, like it's related to family or home life with that 4 of Wands. The sense I'm getting is that there is a decision, but I don't feel like I'm meant to give you any advice that will help in making the decision or knowing which decision is best, because it seems to me, it feels very inevitable that you will land in the right place, that you will make the right decision. I'm not sure what it's in regard to. It could just be something financial. Some of you could be thinking of moving or something like that. But it feels like the decision that will ultimately help bring in this 10 of Pentacles energy will be the one that you make. It just feels there's this sense of inevitability there. And I think that you will know what it is, because it does feel like something that you'll be celebratory about, that you'll be wanting to celebrate. So for some, it could be a quick decision, like buying a house, and then a celebration that brings about, and that's going to be the start to this fulfilling 10 of Pentacles energy. But for some of you, it could be more gradual, but it does feel to me like it's going to bring in a lot of healing energy for you. I see a lot of comforting, healing energy surrounding home life and family life. So it feels mainly in regard to that. Okay, so second quarter, we have the 9 of Swords and the 10 of Cups. So that's an interesting combination. What I'm sensing is that's a worry and anxiety card, but it feels to me more like, especially next to the 10 of Pentacles, it's coming across more as being busy, being occupied and consumed, probably by whatever project begins in the first quarter. Saying project now, that's something that's coming through. So the decision could be in relation to beginning some sort of project, but it does feel like basically weighing of options and then starting on a new path. And so in the second quarter, it doesn't seem to me that the worry is something to worry about. Sounds strange, but it feels, again, more like you being busy. So maybe juggling too many things and that causing a bit of anxiety, but it feels very positive. So that's really what I want to say, especially with this 10 of Cups card next to it. And it's interesting because the 9 of Swords comes in between two tens, this 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. And so it does feel very positive to me. And it feels like whatever it is that is going to be worrying you will ultimately lead to a sense of fulfillment on many levels. So in terms of grounding and stability, and also on the emotional level. There could be some of you who are planning on getting married or getting engaged with the 10 of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, and the 4 of Wands. That seems like a clear indication for at least some of you that that's what is going to be where the planning comes in. It could be happening also in the first or second quarter of the year for some of you, but for others, it does feel like planning, and especially because the 9 of Swords in that case would definitely have to do with the planning and some of the anxiety that brings about. One thing specific that's coming through is so the decision from the first quarter could very well be for some of you deciding to have a wedding. So maybe you're engaged, or maybe you just got engaged, or maybe you have been and we're planning to elope, or we're not planning on having a large wedding and have now decided to. Maybe you'll make that decision in the first quarter of the year rather. And that's where some of this anxiety around the planning comes in, but again, it's leading to this sense of emotional fulfillment. It's leading to something that is it's the culmination of something that really was meant to be. And in that case too, it does feel like that decision was meant to be, was inevitable. If that pertains to you, it's probably just a specific few of you, maybe one of you, where you made the decision to have a larger wedding, or a full complete wedding. It feels absolutely like a very good decision. It feels very positive, very warm, and like it will be very fulfilling. And that energy goes for whatever is happening in that second quarter. So really the only negative aspect is that worry. So I would just advise to try to stay as balanced as possible and as calm as possible. But honestly, with that positive, fulfilling energy with the tens surrounding it, it may just be that it kind of balances itself out. Like it might feel to plan a wedding. It's so extremely busy and can cause anxiety, but it's for something that is once in a lifetime thing, hopefully, and is so positive that it makes it worth it. And so that energy works for even those of you where this is not about a wedding. It just feels like that same sort of good, positive thing that will make it worth whatever worry or anxiety it causes. Okay, looking at the third quarter, we have the 6 of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. So I do sense some massive shifts happening for a lot of you in that third quarter of the year. Again, not negative. I really see absolutely nothing negative. The most negative card in this whole reading is the 9 of Swords. Of course, it doesn't mean that, there won't necessarily be challenges, but I feel like even with this shift happening, it's not the Tower card. It just feels like something that you've been working toward happens. It is the right timing for it. In regard to a wedding, that could be when the wedding is. It could be when you're planning it. But more generally, for all of you, it feels like basically the time has come for something. It does feel like something that you were planning for, expecting, hoping for. So not the Tower. It's not like some sudden thing out of nowhere. This is something that you've been thinking about at least, but it could be thinking about, working towards, hoping for, building towards, and something shifts. and it's that wheel of time. You see the hand on the wheel of time. It shifts, and it is absolutely positive. It's another 10, so I really sense a sense of fulfillment there again. And the 6 of Wands is just a beautiful energy for that victorious, triumphant, feeling like you, in this sense, I'm sensing like getting what you want, getting what you've been wishing for. And it feels like also it could be related to that 4 of Wands. So it could be something from the first quarter of the year, culminating in this third quarter of the year. For this reading, I'm feeling a progression from the 4 of Wands to the 6 of Wands. And it carries through this really positive, spiritual, fiery energy. And in a sense, it's kind of skipping over that 5 of Wands conflict. So it feels like one scenario seems to me that it's the right timing for something to come to fruition. And it may seem a little bit late, but the reason that it was late was to skip over some conflict. And that's, I'm reading that absence of the 5 of Wands. So it feels like something that you might have even had to put on the back burner, or may have even believed wasn't going to come to fruition. And then it does, and it does in the right timing. For some of you, it does seem like this could be in regard to a spiritual influence in your life, being on a spiritual path, something that you've asked for in terms of maybe like wielding gifts more, or something that you've been creative and passionate about. So I'm sensing, again, just to summarize that, a progression for that. And maybe there was a little bit of a delay, but something shifts and there's a breakthrough. So that's a good word for it. It feels like there's a breakthrough in the third quarter, and it does feel like an influx of divine energy. So for a lot of you, that's why it feels like it could be actually in relation to spiritual gifts or something creative. Okay, looking at the fourth quarter, I see the Queen of Swords, which is you, and the Page of Wands. So I feel the first thing is just, you being in your element. That's something I always say when you come up as your element. But more so, I also feel that there's going to be some realization, some possibly coming forward with a truth for some of you. And also something coming to fruition. It feels like this whole year there's building and building and building in regard to something that is bound to bring you some fulfillment. The Page of Rods or Page of Wands does feel like someone else. So it's interesting too, I want to point out that these are the only 2 court cards and they're coming up in the fourth quarter. It's going to be a very people-oriented time. For some of you, this page is a child. Could be a fire sign, but it's somebody who's a real whippersnapper. She or he is very passionate about something themselves, and I get the sense that for some of you, there's almost like a nagging, but in kind of a beautiful way, a nagging from a child about wanting to pursue something that they're passionate about. And I feel that they're getting it from you. So it's a gift that they've inherited from you, or they've watched you be able to do something. They've watched you perform a skill that you have or a talent, and they want to learn it for themselves. And coming up in an annual reading like this, a very specific message like that, feels very important. And it's also that fire element, the spirituality card. So I sense that it's coming through as so important because it's of spiritual importance. I feel like encouraging this child with that gift is going to be important. For some of you, it's also going to be a romantic interest, possibly even someone else in your life. But I'm sensing a younger person, or it's funny, I sense a little bit of that nagging feeling again. I just feel like there's going to be something in the fourth quarter. So it's either that child scenario or something from a loved one, possibly a partner, where they're coming to you with something, opening up to you with something, and feeling comfortable sharing it with you and getting your advice. And that advice is going to be very important. Once again, if it's not a child, if it's a partner, whoever it is, if during that period of time someone comes to you seeking your advice, seeking your counsel, sharing something with you that maybe they haven't shared with many others or anyone at all, that is going to be extremely significant. It's for them. So I'm sensing like, listen because they need your help, but also for you. It's going to bring in a lesson for you, and I think that's also why you're coming up as the sword, because it's that knowledge, and I'm hearing knowledge is power. It feels like something they bring to you, although it may seem focused on them or around them, it's going to be important for you too. And it has to be connected to that Ten of Pentacles card as well. So I feel like it may be even for some of you, like the last thing that you need to complete some sort of puzzle or some sort of thing you've been building throughout the year. All right, Gemini's very positive year 2017. If you have any questions about this or anything, feel free to contact me at soulsintersect@gmail.com. Thank you and Happy New Year.